I am only able to speak for about 30 seconds once every few days, so this video was made gradually over a long period of time. In normal life, I'm not able to speak for long enough to have a conversation with someone. Most of the time I'm not too lucid or with it, but obviously the following video was filmed gradually, at times when I was lucid, but it is not representative of my everyday life. Hi, it's Jenny Robrew here. This video is going to be explaining why it is actually getting even more urgent as time goes on for me to get the surgery that I need. But first, over to Lego Jenny to remind you of the basics. I've been fundraising for 4.5 years. We've done really well, but there's still a long way to go. I need urgent and essential neurosurgery in New York that's not available here in the UK for Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, EDS, patients like me. You can count on one hand the number of surgeons worldwide who perform these surgeries on EDS patients. Performing surgery on people with EDS is very different than performing surgery on people without it. So you need a very EDS experienced surgeon to perform these surgeries successfully. EDS bodies react in unusual ways because our genetics cause us to have faulty collagen production, which causes structural problems in every part of the body, from the cellular level to the systemic level. Faulty collagen causes many problems, including the ligaments and connective tissue in my neck to be lax, which means that it can't support the spine and skull. So my vertebrae and skull move around and subluxate. Subluxation is like dislocation. This means that I have both vertical and horizontal CCI, craniocervical instability, and AAI, atlantoaxial instability. A European neurosurgeon who regularly operates on EDS patients told me that my case was too complex for even him, and that there is only one neurosurgeon in the world who has the experience and specialist equipment needed for me to have a chance at a successful surgical outcome. This is why I need to go to New York to be operated on by this neurosurgeon. The target fundraising amount includes money for the medevac air ambulances that I need to get there and back. The 3 procedures that I need are 1. Removal of the hardware, the metal plate, rods and screws from my failed fusion surgery in January 2020 in the UK. 2. Bolt traction testing to find the exact amount of intraoperative traction needed to lift the skull off the compressed blood vessels and to find the position to place the skull in. 3. Redo the craniocervical fusion using the surgeon's own technique, condylar screw fixation, and using the results of the traction testing to place my skull and neck vertebrae in the correct position with the right amount of traction. American hospitals are ludicrously expensive. Every single thing is singled out and charged for separately, and to a ridiculous degree, because most people in the US have insurance, so they're not usually the ones having to pay. To just stay in a hospital room alone for one night costs more than staying at a 5-star hotel. Then the nursing care is a separate charge, the scans are a separate charge, the people conducting the scans are another charge, the blood tests are another, and the phlebotomist another after that. The food is a separate charge, the cleaning a separate charge. Each time a doctor or an anaesthetist or physiotherapist or nurse comes into the room to talk to you, however briefly, they charge a full consultation fee. The surgeon, anaesthetist, and the plastic surgeon who closes up the surgical wounds all cost separately, and further to the actual cost of the 3 operations. There are also hidden hospital fees. The hospital that I'll be going to used to waive their fees for patients like me on compassionate grounds, but they don't do so anymore because they say that some patients abused their generosity. I've never explained why it's actually getting more urgent as time goes by to get the neurosurgery. I'm getting progressively more numb, which can soon lead to paralysis and organ failure due to cranial settling and neck instabilities causing vascular compressions. At the beginning, after the failed surgery in January 2020, whenever I woke up after being asleep, although the position that my skull and neck internally sunk down to when asleep did compress blood vessels, reducing blood flow throughout my body, causing me to wake up with much loss of sensation everywhere, back then it only subsequently took about 4 hours of being in a specific head position in which a certain part of my neck and skull touched the pillow to open up the vascular compressions very slightly to allow blood to very gradually partly return. As blood returned and reached certain parts of my body, I regained sensation and function in those body parts. For example, my sense of smell and taste came back when blood returned more fully to my nose and mouth. I gradually regained more movement in my hands as more blood returned to them. When enough blood returned to my larynx and throat and tongue, I was able to swallow safely again and was able to feel once more what had been numb. I was able to speak a few words. When enough blood returned to my stomach, I was able to eat food without vomiting. When a bit more blood returned to the capillaries in my skin, the loss of sensation and numbness lessened and I could feel temperature again, hot and cold. I could feel if something was wet or dry once again. However, every day since the failed operation, my neck is so unstable and fragile that even keeping as still as possible, inevitably, more damage is done in what I have dubbed breaks. I don't know if something actually breaks, but because I have no other vocabulary for it, that's what I call it. Since the operation, these breaks, where something in my neck feels like it breaks, it's a sudden, swift movement inside my neck or atlas that permanently changes the neck structure, gradually moving it further and further in a certain direction, inwards and downwards, increasing the cranial settling. This increases the vascular compression and how much blood flow is reduced to my whole body. What used to take me 4 hours of concentrated effort, not moving a millimetre, holding my neck and head still in a certain position that opened up my blood vessels a little in order to get enough blood back to swallow food, speak a little, be able to feel my skin, enough blood for my stomach to function and for my intestines to do their job. Over the course of 4 3/4 years, the time has gradually risen and is now at 19 hours. It takes 19 hours of complete concentration, 19 hours of holding my head and neck in a certain position that it can't be knocked off from, even a millimetre. 19 hours where I must not black out or fall asleep, because if I do, while I'm unconscious, my neck slips back into a position where it more fully compresses the blood vessels, cutting off the blood flow more again, and I'm back to square one and have to start 19 hours all over again. Think of it as a tiny bit like when you yourself accidentally sit on your foot for too long, or if someone falls asleep on your arm. Your foot or your arm goes numb, and it takes a while for blood to return, with pins and needles along the way. Apart from with me, Because my neck is still compressing my blood vessels, it takes 19 hours for enough blood to slowly come back. It's not really enough though, to regain enough bodily function to stay alive. Ever since the failed surgery, I've been living fully within the four sides of this bed. Ever since the failed surgery, I must not lift, turn, or move my head and neck, and nobody else must lift, turn, or move my head and neck either, and I cannot be rolled on my side because it is life-threatening to do so. Since the failed surgery, I cannot even wear a neck brace because my neck is now so structurally incorrect inside that a neck brace actually cuts off blood and I get progressively even more numb and then paralysed. A hard neck collar also inflicts further damage and breaks on the vertebrae in my neck, and the metal hardware shifts and moves independently. And because my neck and skull are so positionally altered inside, a neck brace offers no support or stabilisation anyway. The sleep deprivation is extreme. My day is now, by necessity, a 48-hour-long day. I get 2 to 3 hours of broken sleep per 48 hours. Here's why. This is how my day goes. When I wake up, I am very numb. Not 100% numb, but it is severe from the vascular compression that my neck has caused while unconscious. I immediately start my 19 hours of gradually getting blood back. This is a time when I mustn't even attempt to raise my phone to my eye line, because it would knock me out of the very specific position where the blood vessels open up a tiny bit to gradually let blood return over 19 hours. If I get knocked out of this position by even a millimetre, all the blood that I'd started to get back is lost, and I have to start again from scratch. This 19 hours is when I listen to audiobooks. Obviously, my hospital bed must not be raised up at an angle during this time, because that would knock my neck and skull out of the specific position needed. So I cannot eat during this time, as I can only be horizontal. At some point during these 19 hours, I also have to try to make my bowels move. Due to the lack of gravity, this does not happen naturally by itself anymore. Strong drugs do not work, and they make me more ill anyway by knocking my electrolytes out of kilter and affecting my heart. There used to be certain tricks that worked, but now if I want my bowels to move and thus keep me alive, I have to drink an enormous amount of water in just a few hours. Quite dangerous, but in years of trial and error, it's the only thing that now works. I then do a suppository and hope it's effective enough, and try not to be sick from how much water I've just drunk. I can do all this and use bedpans without even slightly knocking my head or neck out of position. I've become very adept at this, and it's just normal to me. These bed mats are a godsend. I put them under my hips like this. There is always one under me anyway, due to frequent urinary incontinence. The incontinence is because of my neck and because of the numbness caused by the vascular compressions. These bed mats have literally saved my life because, due to me not being able to have my neck or head moved or lifted or turned on my side by anyone, the sheet beneath me can't be changed, as it could easily kill me. So these bed mats are changed instead because I can lift my hips up and down without it moving my head and neck. When I come to use a bedpan, the bed mat catches any urine that might spill over the side of the bedpan if it gets tipped slightly. This rarely happens as I have become good at it over the years, but from time to time it can slosh over, but the mat is brilliant and never fails. When I reach the end of my 19 hours, and thus have enough blood back to swallow safely and have regained a little bit of feeling and sensation in my mouth, tongue, cheeks and throat, I raise the hospital bed up at an angle in order to eat. I can't go up at too acute an angle because my neck and skull are so unstable, and damage is easily done if I go up any more than about 30 degrees. A balance between going up enough to safely eat without choking, but not enough to cause a break or a cascade of subluxations. The neck can easily just shift and then bam, damage is done. I have to concentrate really hard. I put on a large towel like this before I go up to eat and tuck it in so that no crumbs fall in the bed and find their way under my back to create pressure sores. My ability to chew and swallow is very limited. I can only chew and swallow food that is soft and cut up small. I'm not able to swallow vegetables by themselves or in a hard state, so Mum cooks this vegetable stew that enables me to get the nutrition I need. I have to have this plastic bowl and plastic spoon, as anything else is too heavy for my muscles. The change in position of my jaw since the failed surgery means that I can't open my jaw very far, so I have to have a small spoon. After my food, I then brush my teeth. Eating my food and brushing my teeth combined takes about 1.5 hours in total. This is how I brush my teeth. I spit into this bowl after I've brushed my teeth, and Mum takes it away. I then have 6 hours before I eat my second meal of my 48-hour day. In those 6 hours in between the two meals, I try to do the most urgent jobs at the top of my to-do list, but usually the exhaustion is too great, and I'm just attempting not to black out at this point. If you ever see me online, on WhatsApp or Facebook, Twitter or Instagram, it is always during these 6 hours. The only way I can do this, or do any admin, is via my phone. I have to lift it up and hold it to my eye line like this. I can only hold it up for under 1 minute at a time, so if I have to do any writing on my phone, any emails or messages on social media, it's in frustratingly short bursts. It takes me a long time to gradually do it. After these 6 hours, it is time for my second meal and brushing my teeth again. At this point, I've been awake for 28 hours straight. The next 2 hours are the hardest to explain. Due to the time when I am raised up at an angle on my hospital bed to eat food, my skull and the loose segments of my neck and hardware slip and sink down too far, which leaves me in what I call a chokehold, with my airway being partially obstructed by my cervical spine and by cranial settling, which means that when it comes time to sleep later, within a few minutes of being asleep, I stop breathing and wake up gasping for air. In order to stop this happening, I have to do 2 hours of very careful, very gradual micro adjustments and movements to my neck, gradually working some bits of my neck up and out from other bits of my neck, because various parts have sunk and I can't simply do a pull motion or a neck straightening motion of my neck, because my neck does not work like a neck anymore. It's all tangled and mangled. The only reason I can feel exactly where I need to go within my neck to do the micro adjustments is because of the 19 hours work I did earlier to get blood back, so that I have enough sensation back in order to feel my neck a little. The back of my neck and skull are the most numb places of my body. So, as long as I haven't blacked out and lost all the 19 hours work, this 2 hours of micro adjustments can be effective. It takes me 2 hours to detangle, unwind and pull out my skull from my neck and segments of my neck out from other segments of my neck via very gradual adjustments, taking my total and full concentration for 2 hours. It lifts out my skull enough that when it comes time to sleep, I can sleep for a little bit longer before I wake up and I'm unable to breathe. Unfortunately, when I'm asleep, my neck and skull ping back downwards and inwards to the wrong position that they were put into during the failed surgery, all squished and sewn up in the wrong position, a position which compresses my blood vessels and also partially reduces the diameter of my airway. Depending how well I do during these 2 hours of micro-adjusting, it changes how long I can sleep for before my neck pings back to the chokehold position and wakes me up. It takes about 15 to 24 hours of uninterrupted time where I know I'm not going to be disturbed in order to get these little moments of sleep that gradually add up to 2 to 3 hours of broken sleep in total. In between the little bits of sleep that I get, it takes me hours to get back to sleep after waking up unable to breathe, which is why it takes 15 to 24 hours of uninterrupted time where it's completely quiet just to get 2 to 3 hours of sleep, which has to be enough sleep to last me 48 hours. When I wake up for the final time, the whole process starts again and I begin the 19 hours that it takes to get blood back again. This is what I have to do to stay alive each day and keep my body functioning and give it what it needs to stay alive. Unfortunately, my schedule is pretty inflexible, but until April it wasn't a problem because I had it all worked out, which left Mum, who is my carer, able to have a normal 24 hours day and night schedule and able to have a full night's sleep uninterrupted by me, since I didn't need anything from her during that time. I have the plug switches for my heater, the hospital bed, my phone charger and the lamp switch all within my reach, so I can do all that myself. The bedpans stack up a little bit, but I figured out a way to do this so that Mum can just clear the bedpans in the morning when she wakes up. So the bedpans, these cardboard ones, the urine comes through if you leave it too long. So you have to get 5 empty ones stacked up, so that when you go to toilet and this bedpan is full of urine, you put the one with urine in on top of the 5 empty ones so that the urine doesn't go onto the table and floor by soaking through the cardboard. And you can fit 2 bedpans of urine on top of the 5 empty ones. And then, without moving my head or neck, I transfer the stack of 5 empty ones with the 2 full bedpans of urine onto this table with my feet and push it to the edge, so that then Mum can collect the stacks of bedpans in the morning. My schedule means that I often need my uninterrupted quiet time for sleep during the day instead of during the night. However, in April, as those of you who have been following my social media know, when the Housing Association Adra Sif started a 33-week construction project a few metres away from our house, from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m, Monday to Friday, complete with pneumatic drills, generators, pile drivers, diggers, cement mixers and dumper trucks, etc. The noise meant that I was no longer able to sleep during the day. My schedule was thrown out the window by them, and I have been deteriorating and struggling to stay alive without being able to keep to my schedule that allows me to stay functional. The sleep deprivation has been extreme. We fought and fought for my basic human right not to be tortured, but neither politicians nor articles in the media were able to stir this housing association into decency. They have taken away all my functional ability and robbed me of half a year of fundraising. This video has been a long time coming. I have been genuinely tortured by the level of noise because noise is pain for me because of my medical condition. Due to the reduced blood flow to all my body, my mitochondria do not produce the energy needed for my body to function, so even sound acts as a physical exertion on my failing systems. A few minutes of noise can push people with my condition into a state of sheer exhaustion, often referred to as a crash, that can shut the body's organs and functions down completely. The Mayo Clinic says that it may take someone weeks or even months to return to their previous baseline. The vibrations of noise disrupt my heart rhythms. Sound also produces agonizing, unbearable spine pain, nerve pain, and head pain due to my brainstem being crushed, and due to myalgic encephalomyelitis, which is inflammation of the brain and spinal cord. After months of Adra's noise, I have deteriorated badly, and the lasting agony is unimaginable. I have declined and my neck has been accumulating damage because, due to Adra's noise during the day, I haven't been able to get enough sleep to be able to last 19 hours without blacking out, so I lose all those hours of hard work. As a result, I've become increasingly numb because I'm never able to get enough blood back to regain sensation or for organs to function. This has caused various complications to many bodily systems, and it has been pure medical chaos in my body since Adra started in April. It has caused fevers, vomiting, the cessation of bowel movement, increased severity of urinary incontinence, heart failure, and episodes of aspiration or choking, as well as damage to my neck. This has all been exacerbated by a neighbour having an air source heat pump installed, which is producing a constant noise, including all night, that not only is preventing me from sleeping, but more heartbreakingly for me is stopping my mum from sleeping. I've always done everything within my power to give Mum the rest that she needs to keep going, but due to forces beyond our control, Mum isn't able to sleep either, and we are at breaking point. Unfortunately, I cannot be moved to a different house, not even by a specialist spine ambulance. 2 neurosurgeons have both said that I can't be moved until I'm able to have the neurosurgery, because moving me without the surgery at the end of a journey would incur so much damage to my neck and potentially be life-threatening. So the only circumstance in which I can be moved is to get the surgery in New York that I need and to fix what was done to me. I would love this operation to improve my life enough so that I can be well enough to interact properly with my family again, my brothers and my nephews. I've missed so much of their lives. I want to be there for all of it. I want to be well enough to help my mum and be there for her. She has cared for me so well, the best anyone could, for nearly 20 years now, since I first became acutely ill with a nasty virus that gave me myalgic encephalomyelitis. I love my family so much. 2 years ago, my dad died suddenly and unexpectedly and he will never get to see me have the surgery now. I so desperately wanted him to see my health improve. I am a writer, the author of We Are the Winter People, a collection of my poems, which is available as a physical paperback book, as an ebook, and as an audiobook, all helping to raise money for the surgery. I'd love to become well enough to write the 2 novels that I have planned out in my head, and to write more poetry and blog posts. It's essential that I get the neurosurgery as quickly as possible so that the damage to my neck does not become too great as time goes on and does not become irreversible. We've done so incredibly well with the fundraising. We've still got a long way to go though. Please share this video with everyone you know, and together anything is possible. I am so grateful for everyone who has helped and donated up to this point. Please share this video far and wide so that we can reach more people. Please don't leave me in this condition. I don't want to become fully paralysed or brain damaged, or die from organ failure or respiratory difficulties, all of which are real possibilities if I'm left much longer without the surgery. If you can, please donate to gofundme.com/Save Jenny. Thank you from me and from Lego Jenny.